Batman. Uh, the Batman.
The Batman. I got to see it this weekend. And I got to tell you, I'm seeing a lot of talk online and on the Twitterverse about this being the best movie ever and the best Batman movie ever and 10 out of 10. And guys, relax. It wasn't the best movie ever. It was a good movie. It was a solid Batman movie. It's probably one of the top 3 Batman movies, but it wasn't the best movie ever. I don't know where everybody's level of thinking is right now, but this movie was hugely hyped and it was a good movie. I really enjoyed it. So let's get into it. The good. It was a cool movie. It had a great tone. There was a lot of Batman. If you've always been annoyed by the other Batman movies that Batman wasn't in it much or there was too much Bruce Wayne, well, this movie's going to solve that. This movie he was 99% Batman. And, 1% he was Bruce Wayne, which is great because the Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne reminded me of the emo brother from Wedding Crashers. He was a little annoying, but I really liked the Batman. I liked his costume. I liked the Batmobile. The fight scenes were great. He was a detective in this one, which is something that's always kind of been missing from the other Batman movies. You didn't really get to see him solving crime and using his brain. This one, you really, really got that. It had a very film noir feeling, those old school detective movies, which was kind of cool to see. He worked with the police, which was interesting. He's always kind of living in the shadows in the other movies. This one, he was actually just walking around among the police. The police knew who he was. They didn't necessarily like him, but he was a much more public Batman, and that was really a cool thing to see. That's more like the comic books and the cartoons and the stuff we grew up on. Like I said, the action was great. There was a great car chase in it. There were some great fight scenes. It had the tone, while very dark and very brooding, was good, but it was slow, and that gets into the bad. This movie was 3 hours long, and it dragged at points. It felt 3 hours long. Because it was so dark and because it was so brooding. 3 hours of it really felt like you were being beaten down, and so I see a lot of people saying that is a negative of the movie, and I agree. If you're making 180-minute movie 180 minutes, and I mean, most of the scenes it was even raining in. Like it really got into the feeling that you wanted to go listen to some emo music and put on your black eye makeup. It definitely did drag. It definitely was a little too long. They could have cut 30 minutes out of it, maybe even 40. The last 20 minutes of the movie, I think, also could have been cut out. I think Kevin Goatee also makes the point. It felt a little unnecessary, and but the characters were great. All the characters were really good. Catwoman was great. Batman was great. The Penguin was great. Falcone was great. I mean, all the actors did a really, really good job. And it was a really good job of introducing characters, building this world of Batman without we didn't have to, thank God, see the death of Martha and Thomas Wayne, which we've seen 1,000 times. Spider-Man realized that we didn't need to see Uncle Ben die. We didn't need to see the Waynes die. We know. The audiences know how these guys came to be. It cut some of the fat off the movie, but don't worry, they found other ways to add fat to the movie. So it was a little long. It wasn't a perfect movie. No movies are perfect, but this one was really good. It was really, really good. It was really done well. It gave a very different feeling from the Nolan movies, which I was never a huge fan of, from Ben Affleck's movies, which I was a huge fan of Ben Affleck as Batman, not necessarily the movies, but I thought Ben Affleck was a great Batman from the Keaton movies, from all the other crap that we won't talk about. It had its own feel. It really felt like its own movie. So people saying, do we need another Batman movie? No, we didn't need it, but this was a good one. And I'm sure there's going to be others because this one is going to do huge numbers, and it was really well reviewed. And maybe someday someone's going to come on Gutting the Sacred Cow and gut this movie because it's definitely going to be a sacred cow. That said, not a 10 out of 10 movie, not the best movie ever. Maybe one of the best Batman movies. This movie is a solid 8.5 out of 10, maybe 8 out of 10. I don't know. I'm kind of waffling a little bit. Definitely solid 8 out of 10. You should definitely see it, but don't expect the best Batman movie ever. Make sure you go to the bathroom before it starts because you're probably going to have to halfway through the movie. And make sure you cut out 3 hours of your day. It's a long movie. It's a long movie, but it's a good movie, and you should definitely see it. So let's see what Kevin Goatee has to say about it.
Oh, hey, gang. Kevin Goatee here. Let's talk the Batman. Going into this, I really didn't have much high hopes because, look, the Nolan trilogy, I love Begins. Dark Knight is fucking fantastic, but Dark Knight Rises kind of peters out, doesn't really hold up. You've heard us do it on the podcast. So when this version came out, I was like, all right, cool, whatever. The Batman, pretty solid. Let's start off with some greats. Pattinson's a goddamn great Batman. He's a great emo Bruce Wayne. It didn't annoy me. Another good thing, too, with the Bruce Wayne story, they don't go back and harp on the whole murder of his parents. We don't see that reincarnated for the 18th goddamn time, so let's tip our hat to the crew for doing that. Thank you. Alfred the Butler, pretty good. It's the guy who was in, I forgot his name, I'm not even going to look it up, but he was in the Marvel Heroes and Captain America, had his arm blown off. You know who I'm talking about. Pretty solid, too. But Pattinson, and also one more thing about him too, he doesn't do the hockey pants routine that we had with Bale, and doesn't do the deep throaty growl that some of the other guys did in other Batman. So solid. The Riddler, Paul Dano, I didn't really care for the direction the character went in. I'm not saying I wanted, Jim Carrey Riddler. I wanted more of the Arkham Asylum video game kind of Riddler, playful, fun, but definitely sinister. This gets very, very, very dark, which I don't have a problem with, but it also forgets, like I said, some of that key fun that he had with it. So I kind of wasn't crazy about the Riddler. Colin Farrell as the Penguin is fucking great. No, merges Meredith nonsense, but I mean, whatever. That was fun back then. But it's really good. A lot of Carmine Falcone storyline too, and the other boss, Maloney, whatever. Solid. And of course, what's her face? Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. Pretty good. Doesn't really get much into the origin of Selena Kyle, but not really needed. But this is the first Batman film where the plot really is deep and layered, and it is a true Batman detective story. So I was very happy that they finally said, oh, wait, the world's greatest detective? Let's actually have him do detective shit for more than, 5 minutes like he did in 89 with the chemicals, as well as in the second one trying to figure out who the Joker is and all that stuff. So they actually, the plot really takes precedence. It's not Batman running around doing Batman shit. It's Batman being a detective and trying to figure out who the Riddler is, where he's going to go, so on and so forth. Now, this film is long. I don't mind long. Long as, again, I love JFK. We did it on the podcast. My second favorite film is Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction, 2 hours and 40 minutes. JFK, over 3 hours. This film is a tick or so under 3. The first, I guess, I'm not going to ruin it. It drags. The last 15 to 20, completely superfluous. Do not need it. They could have ended it, I'll just say, in the cafe, and that's it. Cut it. Love the film. It's fantastic. Kind of like that scene in Dark Knight where they go on the boat and have the prisoners on one boat and the other boat being the people, and they try and figure out, well, who's going to blow each other up first? The Joker's going to make you blow up one, or they're going to blow up both of them. That scene dragged. Otherwise, it would have been an absolute dime. Same with this. This film, the last 15, 20 really knocked it down for the score. They would have ended it right where they should have ended it. It would have been great. I love the pacing otherwise. The story was fantastic. The one other knock, too. You know how the Batman movies, the score is such a main part of the film, such a dominant force. What Danny Elfman for 89's Batman. Obviously, Hans Zimmer for the trilogy. Even Hans Zimmer with Batman versus Superman, and of course Justice League, very, very at the forefront. This score, not near as memorable, or, oh my God, I got to download the score kind of feeling you get when you leave the theater. It was all right. It was decent. You see that you hear the one theme over and over. It's good. But again, it's not as memorable and grabbing. It doesn't grab you by the balls like the other ones do. But overall, the film is very, very, very good. I was very pleased with it. No silly. There's some very different choices you would expect in a Batman film that were made. Again, not going to spoil. And in the end, you kind of suspect one thing's going to happen when it does. And in one of the final scenes, you knew that was full all coming. By the way, do not stay for the end credits. A complete waste of time. Do not stay for the end credits. Google it. YouTube it. You'll be like, okay, good, I'm fine. And I sat through it and I wasted my time. Batman, the Batman, very good. 8 out of 10 I give it. Again, that last 15, 20 minutes really brought it down at least a point for me. Fantastic. Pattinson, great. Where do I rank it? I got to put Dark Knight 1. I need to see this again before I put it in either a top 5. It's in the top 5, but top 3 maybe. So Dark Knight, Mask of the Phantasm, Batman Begins, and then somewhere I guess I could put it between 2 and 3. I got to watch it again, but very good film. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And this is the second DC film where they got their shit together, Shazam being the first. Let's see what Kevin Israel had to say.